Yeah.
Alright, so let's get started. So each of you were given different reasons why you are coming to this land. Although you've never been to this continent before, you know that this continent is similar to where you've come from, wherever you may have come from. They're the same
Got it.
races that belong there. Magic still works in the same way. You just don't know too much about this region. And once again, each of you are coming here for a different reason, and your ship is now pulling up on the docks, and each of you step onto the docks, and as you do, you see a boatswain, someone who works with the boats and is tying your ropes up. And he has black braided hair, brown eyes, silky sunburned chocolate skin. He stands about 6'1" with a lean build, square jaw with stubble. In fact, here's a picture of him. This is the man that you see working the docks. And yeah, all of you step off the dock and see each other for the first time.
Welcome to Port Earth. I hope you found your journey to be pleasant.
Well, darling, if you had been on the ship, it would have been a lot more pleasant.
Thank you. I have been at sea for a long time now, so I haven't thought of such pleasures for a while.
Really? With all that rocking motion? So...
Okay, yeah. Wizard bloke, you're really, getting a bit creepy there. Calm down a bit.
You notice that the person speaking to you, Lorian, is of the build of the man that you... oh, I'm sorry. You see another man behind the man speaking, who seems to be of the description of the person that you've hired. You hired a half-elf fighter, and why don't you describe yourself, Falmanar?
Hold up. It's 5'10", fair build, fair colored skin, ice eyes, and black hair. Pretty well dressed.
Okay, so yeah,
pretty much like the picture itself.
And you also see what you think to be is the person who hired you. You're supposed to meet that person on the docks. A high elf of unclear gender, androgynous somewhat.
So I assume you're the one that had hired me?
My name is Lorian. Did Lorian hire you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, take your time. Think about it carefully. You're certain?
Family name is, Molten Tongue.
Yes, that's correct. Excellent. So, you know what your job is, right? You're my protection. Nice and strong.
Yep, that's what I was hired for, and that's what I'll do.
Very good. I'm glad you understand. Now, I look over at the person that was telling me to calm down. What do I see there? DM.
So that would be Nimlalwe. I'll allow him to describe himself and introduce himself, should he choose to.
Very small, drow. Very likes to keep her face hidden. And just very athletic, and yeah.
So I'll say that Lorian, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen drow very often in your lifetime. Where you're from, they are not common, and even in this town, as you see people kind of crossing the docks and walking up and down the wooden steps, You don't see any other drow. He seems to be the only drow around.
She.
She, I
She,
think,
my
right?
apologies, yeah.
Yes. Now, darling, are you all right? You seem a little uptight.
Yeah, back off, you're smothering me. Yeah, just leave me be.
Oh, I wouldn't harm you. I'm not doing anything. I am talking to my associate here. Don't worry. I don't discriminate.
Whatever, you're getting kind of creepy there. Just back off.
Oh, darling, consent matters. You don't have anything to worry about from me. Anyway, Falminar, I don't suppose you happen to know who's in charge here, do you?
No, not really.
I look to the boatswain. Good sir, who runs this town?
That would be Lord Percival Lindsay.
Lord
Lord Percival Lindsay.
Lord
He is the
Percival.
lord of this town. Aye.
Well, I would
He's
assume
not
that
often
Lord.
seen by the public. Not often seen by the public, but he's said to be fair.
I simply wouldn't want to slight the man by a personage of my birth entering his town without properly introducing myself. Is that something that you believe he would expect?
Just know that there's no magic allowed here, so keep that to yourself. Once you leave these docks, you must check in with the customs man up the stairs there.
The customs man. How quaint. Normally I have people for that. Very well. Just up the street, you said.
Up the stairs
Ma-
there, the wooden stairs.
Oh, up those stairs. The ones with the red lanterns? I think I might like your customs.
You go around that, and in the upper alley there is the customs man. It's the only way up the dock.
Thank you so much. You stay handsome now, sir.
You see a smirk on his face as he tends to the very large ropes tying the ship securely. You can see that he's good with his hands and he's excellent with knots.
That's it.
Come along, Fowl. I make
can-
sure to.
I'm sorry, I was going to say you can also see a few other people coming in from their ships and making their way up the stairs. The line is not long; it's moving fairly quickly.
I make certain to add a little extra sachet to my step as I pass the boatswain and head up towards the stairs confidently.
All
Just
right.
follow it.
Do you all follow?
Nim waits
Yeah.
around for about a minute and just says, fuck it, alright, I'll go.
All right.
I glance back at the little drow, smile lightly, and say nothing.
She then flips him off.
Promises.
I had a bit of a chuckle, and that's it.
So I stand in line.
All right. The line moves fairly quickly, and you see this man sitting behind a wooden booth with a stamp. He's got a signet ring, and he seems to be, awaiting your reply. He's looking at you with his full attention.
Oh, hello there, Silver Fox. My name is Lorian. I've come to do these registery, customy things. My dear cousin, I believe, has passed away. And I have come to deal with her affairs and pay my respects.
Aye. And the others with you, the company?
I'm here to escort the elf.
I'm just here, to be honest. I don't really know why I'm here. You feeling all right? You don't sound really nice, do you?
No business here, is that what you said? No business?
Well, I'd like to go past, if you don't mind. Yeah.
State your name and your business.
I'm Nim Laoway of House Tamer. I'm just gonna pass through.
So, you do recall that you were here for some business, and you don't have to state your business if you choose not to. But I just wanted to give you a friendly reminder that there is a reason for your journey here. So, is that a willful choice that you're making, or is it that you forgot that you have a reason to be here? Up for you to decide.
She's not wanting to reveal anything over the loss of the family, over loss.
Very good. He stamps 3 parchments with a symbol of the city, which is just, it's like a, sort of like a P shape for Port Firth, PF. And he gives each of you a stamped parchment to show that you've gone through customs on the docks. And he allows you to walk through into the city. As you enter the city, you see bustling streets. Let me pull up an image here. See bustling streets of all kinds of folk. And one moment. There you go. You see all kinds of folk. You don't see many drow or dragonborn among the races that you're familiar with. You see people from all walks of life. You see nobles, you see peasants, you see beggars. And what do you do from here?
Well,
Nim would cover up her face more, trying to hide the fact that she's a drow.
Alright.
I pick the edge of my robes up delicately and lightly walk down the street, avoiding the worst of the scum, trash, refuse, and unidentifiable puddles. Come along, little ducklings. Let's see if we can make our way away from the smell.
Little ducklings.
Not sure about a little duckling, but
I chuckle and wander through the town trying to find the nicer areas.
Okay. We're going to pull up a map here. One moment, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the areas that are clear are what you can see from where you're standing. You're all standing on the right side there. I haven't given you all tokens yet, so we'll work on that between sessions. In the meantime, I'll give you stand-in tokens one moment while you guys talk amongst yourselves.
In character or not?
In character, yeah.
Okay.
Well, Nim, you don't have to worry about us. I wouldn't hire somebody who wasn't safe. And I won't lay a hand on you. I have plenty of willing people for that.
Frankly, I don't give a fuck what you think. So let me be me.
Alright, and you're following us because nothing better to do.
Yeah, nothing better to do. Just got stuff I need to focus on. Don't want to go into it.
I share a significant glance with my guard. Right. So I'm looking for my cousin's estate. Suppose we should find a shopkeep or somebody and ask around.
Okay, so the guy in red and black is going to represent the ranger for now. The noble high elf is going to be in blue, and the guy wearing black with the axe is going to represent the half elf, just for now, until we guys get you better tokens. So,
Okay.
what do we do from this point forth? And you can ask what you see and things like that.
Yeah, so what sort of, are there any shops that look like a little bit nicer? Or any buildings that look official in the area? Any signs?
So you see a cathedral in front of you. You see kind of like
I see a black screen.
Oh, really? Zoom
You
out.
gotta
There's
scroll.
a-
Yeah.
Move around a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a scroll bar on the top right. You see someone with no shirt kind of resting their back on the side of the church there. They seem very sickly. They seem very pale and coughing.
Oh, shit, okay.
You see somebody wearing leather armor and a hood leaned up against the wall there to your left. You see some people working for the town and customs office right there next to you. That's what those two people there are, as far as you think.
Is there a
you
tavern
see,
nearby?
you're going to have to ask around and maybe look around a little further. So you have to decide which way you'd like to move, or who you'd like to approach. So you tell me and I can move your characters for you.
Approach me to, move me to the nearest person.
Okay. So that person there wearing the black cloaks. Let me give you a handout one moment, please. Do you all see that image?
Man with
Yeah.
pipe.
Yes. One moment, please.
Pipe man.
Hello, a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Who might you be?
I'm just a person looking for a drink. Now, where can I find one?
Aye, that would be the Roost. I'm standing right against it. What brings you here to town?
Just a drunk trying to find some more beer or ale.
Aye. Well, this is the place for it. If you go inside, make sure to order the Mountain's Bounty. It's a fine liquor, made by using water from the glaciers.
She would think. Definitely gonna kill him someday.
So I'd like you to roll Insight.
For what?
So that will be, I'm sorry, roll Perception, I mean. So that will
how do I do
be, so if you look at your character sheet, what is your perception bonus? The number next to your perception skill.
Give me a second, please.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Alright, you piece of shit computer. Come on!
I'll help you. Let me have a look.
Yeah, please.
So your perception is going to be +4.
Okay.
There's a way to roll perception on here. I forget how to do it, but what you can do is just type in 1d20 +4 with no spaces. So if you can roll that for me.
I think if he just clicks perception in the skills.
Actually, yeah, that's right. Correct. Yeah, you just click perception on your character sheet if you can for me. That'll be on your list of skills on the left-hand side of your main character sheet there.
Yeah. Just give it 5 minutes and when it loads up.
I'll click it for you. Actually, I don't think I can click it for you.
No,
Oh no, I did, yeah. So you roll a total of 8. So you can see that this man is fairly strong. You see that he is puffing his pipe casually. He seems to be enjoying it very much. But he's also very aware. He's very aware of what's going on around him. He seems to be watching people go left and right throughout the courtyard here. And you can tell that he is, or at least you perceive him to be giving you correct information about the Roost being a good tavern to go into, and that he really would like you to enter the tavern. Okay, we'll move on to the other two party members. What do you do? We'll go on to Ev.
All right. I look over at that fellow who's sitting, who looks like he might be working with customs,
Mm-hmm.
and approach him.
Alright, I'm going to move you over there. You see a tired-looking older gentleman, maybe in his 50s, 60s, and he's sitting there in a wooden chair, just milling through a very small stack of papers. And he seems very distracted. He doesn't actually look up at you as you walk up to him.
Pardon me, sir. I hope I'm not bothering you too much. I'm new to town, and I have a quick question, if you wouldn't mind.
He looks almost startled, as if he didn't know that you were standing so close to him, and he looks up with wide eyes and says, what is this now? Explain yourself, what?
Yes, I'm just new to town, and my cousin, Irwell, passed away, and I need to settle her affairs. Would you happen to know where I would go to start that process?
The legal offices, the Port Firth legal offices. Aye.
Ah, thank you, darling, thank you. And where might those be, please?
Down the block a few houses. Can't miss it. Big sign in the front, legal offices.
Ah, excellent, thank you so much, darling. I appreciate it. Sorry to interrupt. Do be good to yourself now.
He appears to dismiss you easily as he sort of mumbles to himself and gets back to his paperwork. He seems to be somewhat of a simple man, not too interested in the goings-on around him.
Very well. So I look down the block. Can I spot the legal offices?
If you'd like to take a few paces forward toward the block to the left, your left, we can do that. Okay. I'm
Certainly.
gonna move you down this way, and I'm gonna reveal some more of the thing. One moment. Here we go.
I'm hoping my guard has come with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow.
So you do not see the legal offices yet. However, I would like the two of you, bodyguard and high elf, to make perception rolls, please.
Okay.
Aw.
How do I do perception?
Go to your character sheet and just click where it says perception on your skills. Just click it one time. So Falminar got an 8 total.
Perception.
A 17, excellent. Falminar, you don't hear anything unusual other than the sounds that are now playing. You hear someone hammering on an anvil, you hear children, you hear animals in the distance at a nearby marketplace, and church bells ringing. Lorian, you hear lots of elevated voices in the alleyway to your right, to the right of the cathedral. You hear what sounds almost to be a crowd of people with elevated voices. And you also notice the man with the pipe. You notice that he is looking you and your bodyguard up and down and inspecting you for anything unusual or exotic, as he knows that you have just come from the docks.
I shoot a quick glance at the man leaning against the wall and fire off a flirtatious grin, wiggling my eyebrows at him to see if he makes and maintains eye contact.
He appears to be very outgoing, flashes a very bright grin back, but remains fixated on the ranger who's talking to him. You can tell that he noticed your presence and understood the flirtation. And then you also notice the man leaning against the cathedral as being very ill. Actually, Falminar, you also notice that the man leaning against there appears to be very sickly and laying there coughing.
I'd just like to add that Nim would notice Lorian giving the flirtatious grin, and she would roll her eyes.
Rolls her eyes, but keeps on coming. So, I look back to the right, down the alleyway. Do I see anything down the alley?
Would you like to take a few paces in that direction?
Yes.
Nimwale, would you like to follow, or what is your course of action while she does this?
Nim would enter the tavern.
Very well. You see a very cozy tavern. Let me see here if I have an image for that. Well, for now, you see a very cozy tavern. You see this man at the bar. Let me show you his image. Let's see here. Where is my... Here we are. You see that man behind the bar. You see several patrons. You see... they appear to be human. You think you see a dwarf in the small private room to the right. And you see a few humans eating and having drinks, smoking pipes, a variety of things, having meals. And you see one or two gnomes in a corner as well. Not all of the patrons are represented there by tokens. Just keep aware of that. It's very lively and it seems to be a really good tavern. You notice the fellow leaning against the wall outside who gave you the information follow you in and take a seat at the bar.
Nim would sit next to him. She would then buy him a drink.
All right, you have to address the bartender then.
One drink for this person next to me.
And what drink would that be?
The strongest you've got.
Aye. That would be the Banshee's breath. 'Tis a white swirling liquor made from a special translucent wildberry.
Yeah,
If you find it,
don't care, just give it to him.
Aye, that will be 1 gold.
She hands over the gold.
So how much gold do you have out of character?
8 gold.
Very well, so make sure to erase 1 gold, please. The bartender hands the man the drink. It is, kind of a pasty white, swirling. Looks quite fanciful. The gentleman who followed you in gives you a very charming smile, a nod, and says, "I'm not used to women buying me drinks, but thank you very much." We're going to switch up to... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. She would then approach the person and say, "I want information, you will give me information."
Ooh. We're going to switch up to the other 2 characters, and we'll come back to you in just a moment. So, Lorian and Falmanar, please both roll perception. Awesome. Okay.
I think
1 moment.
Oh man.
Oh yikes!
Oh god damn, buddy.
1 moment.
Might have the
second.
tables turned.
All right, 1 second, guys. Right, okay, so you both see a crowd of what appear to be commoners, civilians, a few noblemen, people of different classes, all surrounding a small halfling woman. I'm going to send you a picture of that. 1 moment. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? I thought I uploaded her. I can't find her. But yeah, whatever. She's a small halfling woman with dark brown hair. She is surrounded and she looks to be in a state of absolute distress. She has short curled black hair and green eyes, kind of blackish brownish hair, smooth kind of light bronze skin, somewhat of an anorexic build, a soft bland face, and you see commoners lifting up pebbles and rocks about to throw them at her, yelling at her that she is a filthy whore and that she is no good, and they are yelling at her to leave the town. She's on the ground facing them at a disadvantage, kind of crawling backward toward the wall, but she is surrounded and she is in distress. What do you do?
I stride up, and in my most imperious voice, looking down my nose at her, I yell out, "There you are!" And very arrogantly walk through the crowd of people. Where have you been, girl?
Please make a dexterity roll. You deftly move through the crowd. Many of the people are not paying attention to you as you pass through, so they don't hold you back or bump into you. You stride between them. Do you follow Felminar?
Yeah, except for the
Okay.
fact I'm kind of gonna push through.
Very well. As you push through, one or two of the people drop the rocks that they were about to throw because they get jostled. They see that you are an individual of a very large build, and they don't want to grab you or hassle you because you are somewhat intimidating toward them. The halfling looks up at you surprised, unlike the others where she's distressed and fearful of. She doesn't say anything, however. You hear the civilians yelling that she's a prostitute and a whore, and that she should be stoned to death for sleeping with very high noblemen.
I tell you, like
I turn around and I say, "Well, why do you think I'm here? I'll deal with this right away." And I turn back and reach down for her arm.
Roll a... let me take a look here at your character sheet. I would like you to roll a deception.
Okay. Oh, I don't think I have any. Let's see. Oh man, my charisma's so high.
Oh my.
It's a 7.
damn it.
No.
So you see some of the people pause and they don't throw the rocks because you are now immediately next to her, picking her up. You see one man wearing a blue velvet vest and a feather in his cap come up and say, "And who are you? What business do you have here in the middle of the street? This whore deserves to be stoned."
I'm Lorian. Don't you know who I am?
I have no idea who you are.
Well, not everybody knows everything. And who are you, sir?
I'm Lord Ross. This young lady here was sleeping with one of the noblemen. A married nobleman.
Naughty, naughty girl. And is throwing stones in the middle of the street how one normally deals with this sort of thing?
A commoner like her should keep to her own. She shouldn't interfere with a nobleman's marriage. Falmanar, make a perception roll, please.
Yep. Wait.
That's not bad. Let me reveal part of the map. So through the crowd and through all the yelling and voices and all the commotion, you hear a small halfling girl's voice saying, "Mama, Mama?" And you notice her behind some of the noblemen and the civilians, a small halfling girl on a crutch, hobbling toward the scene. and you can see that she is somewhat pale and sickly herself. We're going to jump down to the ranger in the tavern. The man sitting at the bar takes a sip of the drink that you bought him and says, "Well, what business is it that you want to know about? What information are you interested in?"
Just give me anything you can. Rumors, anything. I need to know.
Usually beautiful women buying me drinks are a little more subtle with that kind of thing. I don't understand. What brings you here?
Business you don't need to know about. Now just tell me information.
I have lots of information, but I don't know what information you need.
Information about this town. Who runs it? What are their weaknesses? We could exploit them.
Oh my, you are brash, aren't you? Well, I can tell you one or two things about this town. 1 second, guys, I'm gonna pull up some notes. Lord Percival Lindsay is the lord of this town. We don't see him too often. He does mostly what the people want. He keeps the peace. Every once in a while you have some ice giants roaming the fields outside, but they tend to keep to themselves. You have the Dwaland Mountains to the north, and that's not an easy journey to make going through them. Most people make their way around the Dwaland Mountains to Gryhold. Gryhold is run by the dwarves and a few other humans to the north. We have a few outposts in the Dwaland Mountains. I don't know what else to tell you about the region or the town. What is it that you want to know? The weaknesses of the Lord himself?
Aye.
Well, he's not necessarily a wealthy man for a lord compared to the other towns, the other cities. He's pretty humble and mundane, if you ask me. Not much to gain from any weaknesses he may have. His only weakness is that he's not selfish, you see. Being selfish is often a strength around here.
Interesting. Tell me more about this Lord Percival.
The more you tell about me, the more I'd be willing to tell about Lord Percival, or this town. I still know nothing about you other than you have excellent tasting drinks.
I'll make it worth your while.
Words come cheap. What have you to show for it?
She would whisper things into her ear, his ear, very erotic things.
His eyes widen, and that smile flashes across his face again.
No.
He looks you up and down, and says, "What are you doing this evening?"
Absolutely nothing.
I'll meet you here at sundown. The festival is happening in the tavern. Here in the Roost, live musicians. Everyone in town comes here. There's not much else to do once the sun goes down in this town. This is where everyone is, and this is where you'll find me. He finishes his drink and briskly walks out the door.
Oh, is it my go? Oh, no. Oops.
What do you do once he briskly walks out the door?
She makes a mental note. Try to be nice to him. He could be useful.
So I'll also add, and this is for all of you, you know that it is maybe 2 to 3 hours from sundown, roughly. Roll a perception roll, Ranger, whatever your name is.
Just call her Tima or Nim.
Also, welcome, Roosevelt. You are muted by default as an audience member, just so we can focus. But yeah, you're welcome to stay.
Right, how do I roll perception?
Right, so on your character sheet, you have to find your skills on the left, and then just click it. Otherwise, I can help you with that if you're having difficulties with the... Okay, 24. Wow, dude. Amazingly high. Amazingly high. Wow. Okay. So yeah, let me give you some info. Also, Rose, I won't be able to read that now because I'm multitasking quite a bit. So you, once again, you see that the innkeep is an excellent... This is also an inn and tavern, by the way. You perceive that there are stairs that lead upwards to some rooms. It is well kept. You can tell that the innkeeper is named Quinn. You hear him talking to some patrons, and they do mention his name. They're regulars. You have like 2 gnomes at the bar that reference him. He's an experienced bartender. He fills everyone's glass quickly. He's neat. He's deft with bottles and glasses. You notice that the humans there, some of them glanced over at the man with the pipe who walked out the door. You realize that you did not get his name, but you recognize his face very well, and you'll be able to recognize it if you see him again. Some of the patrons sitting there did make eye contact with him, so you know that they're familiar with him. You note that the dwarf in the private room there appears to be drinking a very large tankard of some kind of ale, and he seems to be a simple man wearing very homely clothes, but you can tell that he is very weathered. You can see his face is wrinkled, and that he is, although young, has a very weathered face, and he's very, very strong. You can see even, stronger than the bodyguard that the high elf hired. You see rippling muscles. You see that he has some mountaineering gear on him as well. You see that he's got his pack laying next to his bench there as he drinks and feasts on a lamb's leg. Going back up to those in the alleyway, what do you do, Lorien?
Well, being a fellow noble, I decide to try to persuade the fellow. To be sure, my lord, to be sure. Justice is very important. I myself am heading over to find Lord Percival. I'd be happy to take this little creature off of your hands and drag her along to the justice.
The halfling allows you to lift her off the ground and kind of grabs you by the thigh as if a child grabbing a mother in danger. And you still see many of the civilians holding their rocks ready to throw them. I need you to roll a persuasion now.
All right, here we go.
And also roll a perception, please. That is an excellent persuasion roll, by the way. An excellent perception roll as well.
Yes, finally.
So
good.
you see many of the people drop their rocks to the ground and sort of, they still have anger in their face, but they're listening to your words. You see the little halfling girl hobble through the crowd with tears rolling down her face on her crutch, and she stands there speechless. Her perceivable mother, the halfling woman who's now holding your thigh, starts to speak up and says, I am no prostitute. I am no strumpet. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Please believe me. You notice that her words are only angering the crowd again. What do you do as this happens?
I turn to her and I say, "Hush, girl. Come with me. The justice will
She
decide
nods,
this."
but she also reaches out to the halfling girl, the small halfling girl, who's struggling to walk.
I
Also,
turn to my...
Falamar, you're
Go.
also welcome to do things in and out of turn, as we're not in strict combat right now, so anybody can do what they wish at any time, for now.
Alright.
I turn to... Okay, if you want to do something, go ahead.
Yeah, I just kind of want. I just kind of want to check out this young girl that's kind of reaching out for this. The mother, I presume. Should I roll,
The mother was reaching out to her, but yes, roll a perception. Or you can do an investigation if there's something specific you want to investigate about her. You can choose which to roll.
No, I'm just gonna roll perception.
Sounds good.
Oh.
So what you can perceive with that is that she is, she's definitely on a crutch on her left side. She does appear a bit pale and sickly. She's limping, she's crying, and she is just struggling to walk forward. She appears to be confused and sad about what's happening.
I want to kind of like walk over and like bring her close to her mother, I guess.
Alright, she follows you by the hand. She holds you with her right hand as she's holding her crutch with her left hand. And she is with her now. You see many of the townsfolk take a step back at your presence as you are towering, and you're hulking more than the High Elf. Although the High Elf's words struck a chord with the townsfolk, your presence strikes a chord with them as well. So together you are effectively kind of calming the crowd a bit from the savagery that was about to unfold.
Hell.
So I give a very, very subtle, gentle, intended to be comforting squeeze on the hand of the halfling woman, and I turn to my guard. And I say, "Pick up that little waif, would you? We don't need her slowing us down. Bring the crutch."
Yep. Got you.
Alright, she willingly lets you pick her up.
Ugh.
I turn back to the noble and nod my head, "My lord."
He appears to be speechless, still angry, but does not want to get into a fight with either of you. He would rather pick a fight with someone smaller than his size, you believe.
I turn around and walk back out towards the cathedral.
All right.
Not looking at anyone. With the halfling woman, of course, in tow.
Yes, she's walking by your side, keeping a very close watch on Falamar, carrying what you perceive to be as her daughter. She appears to trust Falamar as he is gentle with her, and she walks alongside.
I look to see if we're out of sight of everyone in the mob.
They
now that
seem
we're
to
out in the
have.
middle.
They seem to be talking amongst themselves with differing opinions on the matter. Some of them are confused. Some of them seem to have believed your story. Some of them are still angry, talking about lower class people interfering with noble affairs. And they seem to be dispersing and talking amongst themselves, but none of them seem to be following you, which is a good sign.
Mm. So I continued towards the direction we went in before, towards the tavern, basically.
Very well. You recognize this to be a familiar place so far.
Mm-hmm. And I say in an imperious voice, "Now then," and lean down so that I'm much closer to her. "I don't care what you might have done. Can't stand such savagery. Where can you go that's safe, little one?"
The roost here is better than any place. I know Quinn, the innkeep. He keeps an orderly tavern. We can go in there, and I'd like to thank you for what you've done for me and my daughter.
Oh, of course, darling. It's a part of my duty to protect the common folk, after all. I take it seriously, unlike some who just like to throw their weight around like bullies. Very well. So we step into the tavern.
All right. Perception roll.
Okay. Where's that perception? Ah, 23. Nice.
And also, Falamar, you can also make a perception roll. Mm-hmm. So, Lorien and Falamar, great rolls. You guys notice that there are two gnomes up at the bar. You notice your ranger acquaintance up at the bar, sitting there as well. You see the barkeep very busy, serving several people. A few humans sitting down, eating different foods and meats and drinks. And you do notice a dwarven man having a large tankard of ale in a private room there. Yep, that's what you see. You do find 2 tables that are open, and there are room for you to sit, the 4 of you, should you choose to do so.
I have a seat.
And Nimlalwe, you notice the 4 of them enter the tavern as well. I think he went AFK though. Oh no, he's back.
No,
he's back.
I'm here.
Right.
Just do me a favour. Just refer to her as Nim.
Got it.
Just to help you out with the pronunciation, just call her Nim. She would notice and walk over.
I'm sorry, what? She noticed what?
She notices the people, Lorian and Faramar, walk in, and she decides to watch them and see if she can join.
Alright, you walk up to them, and they say what?
Ah, Nim, join us, Duckling.
If I must. She sits down.
You notice the half-elf fighter, or the muscular man, the bodyguard, carrying a small girl you have not seen before. A halfling girl who appears to be sickly and carrying a crutch with her.
Human trafficking now.
Absolutely not.
Hardly.
Sure looks like it, buddy.
Besides, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's slut-shaming. I quirk an eyebrow at Nim.
By the way, Lorian and Falamar, add 1 inspiration point to your inspiration section for handling that situation without there being an incident. Sometimes it's good to have an incident, but I think you played your characters as they would naturally be played, so you guys get an inspiration point. For those of you who don't know how inspiration points work, you can only have 1 at a time. When you decide to use an inspiration point, it'll give you an advantage at a certain roll, which means instead of rolling once, you roll twice, and you take the better of the 2 rolls. If for any reason during the game you have a disadvantage, it works the same way. You roll 2 times, and you get the worst of the 2 rolls. Things like, you know, if you're trying to like hit somebody in fog, or like trying to handle something when you're shaking or something, that's what dictates those things. Yes, so carry on. I just wanted to award you guys those inspiration points.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to save my game, and then I thought, no wait. I can't do that.
You got a double safe, boy.
So I turn to the halfling woman, and I ask, so what's your name?
My name's Joanne, but my friends call me Starry. Joanne Sile.
And what would you like me to call you?
You can call me Starry. I mean, you're my friend now after saving me like that. You didn't have to do that.
I smile down at her kindly. Can't stand idiots being idiots. What can I say? So would you like to talk about it? What happened?
You notice her glance over at her daughter. She walks over to her and hugs her dearly and kisses her on the forehead. Can one of you maybe take her to another table while I discuss this? It's a lot for her to hear.
Nim would get the gist of the situation and take the child away and
All right.
buy her a meal.
Alright, so I'll bring you to a table across the room.
Well, I also bought the child a meal. So she would walk up to the bar.
That'll be like, silver pieces are what, like 10-cent gold pieces? So that'll be like 1 silver piece. Because it's a nice tavern and it's a nice meal for her, so 1 silver piece. So if you have only gold, that'll give you 9 silver pieces back if you want to exchange that for 1 gold piece. All right.
Nim's fine.
I'm sorry. What?
shoot.
You have silver? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that's just 1 silver piece then.
All right.
The barkeep works quick to give her a meal of bread with stew, but it's a very good stew. You see the girl gobbling it down. Roll a perception roll, please, Nim.
As you wish. Rolling perception as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
How was that, boys?
21. Wowie kazowie. Yeah, so you notice that her skin is a bit pale. She's a bit frail, a bit thin, even for a halfling girl her age. You notice that she is limping even with the crutch and even still having a hard time walking. And her sickness resembles that of the man outside who is leaning on the cathedral. And you could see that she is extremely hungry, sickly even beyond someone who's hungry. She has something. You don't know what it is, but she is plagued with something. And she does not look well.
Great, we're all gonna die.
Could I use one of my
die first.
spells?
Well,
I've got heal wounds.
you
Could that
do-
work against the sickness?
You're welcome to try. However, you do recall, your character does recall that upon entering the city, you were told by the boatswain that magic is not allowed in the city. So you can do what you wish. Before we do anything, however, we're going to swing back to the other two. And the halfling woman says, "Thank you. That's my Moon. Her name is Moon. I've had her with my husband Ben Sile. He lives here in this town. We both do. And I'm not a prostitute. I was not sleeping with that nobleman. They thought I was because I was in his home when he was in his house late at night, and they assumed that that's why I was there. But that's not why I'm there. You see, my Moon is terribly ill with the rot. The rot is a plague upon this city. There are many people getting in, left and right. And there's only one cathedral here, one temple. It costs a lot of money to have her healed, so I'm doing everything I can. We don't have the money, Ben and I. We don't have the money to pay for her cure. You see, it's not easy. So, I was there taking what I need to take.
Well, that's understandable, darling. I'm sure I would do the same. How barbaric. No healthcare here. I look over at my guard and back at her. How contagious would this rot happen to be, by the by?
We don't know much about the rot. We don't know what causes it. Perhaps it's caused by something outside the gates of the city. Maybe one of the horses brought it in, but it doesn't seem to be very contagious. It's just a matter of luck at the draw. And unfortunately, my poor Moon has it. She doesn't have very long. Maybe a few weeks. But she doesn't know that. She's a smart girl. She knows she doesn't have very long, but I tell her every night that I'm going to do everything I can to make her through this.
How
Good
much
gods.
does said treatment cost?
The priests and priestesses of Lathander are charging 2,000 gold. Their cathedral was ransacked and burned by cultists just a month ago. Cultists who, for some reason, wanted to destroy the entire cathedral. And they're trying to fix the cathedral so they're able to channel their magics and raise the believers back into the city here. So they don't have much of a choice. No matter how much you beg, no matter what you choose to do, they will not heal unless you pay 2,000 gold pieces per heal of this terrible disease.
Good gods. There must be a better way.
Barbaric.
It sounds like... I wonder if there's some sort of a link between this rot and these cultists. It seems that they wouldn't want the disease to be stemmed. Can't say I'm too impressed with this town so far.
Reminds me of home.
Did you have a disease at home too?
Nothing too severe, but stuff to cause worry.
Oh, unfortunately, even I don't carry that kind of capital around with me. I'm so sorry, my dear. But perhaps I should pay a visit to this little temple and see if I can do something to make things right.
Do you have 2,000 gold?
I'm afraid I do not. No. However, I will look around town and see what there is to be seen. Perhaps I can find some other way. But I can't make you any promises, my dear. Are you hungry?
I'm not hungry, but I need to bring my daughter home to Ben. I can come back here at sundown for the festival, if I'm able to. I hope to meet you here. Thank you again for your help. I think my daughter would have witnessed my death if you didn't step in.
You're welcome. You stay safe out there.
You see her... And you see her walk over, and as her daughter is finishing the last of the stew, she gently picks her up along with the crutch and takes her out.
Nim would rejoin Falconer and Lorien. She would say to them, fellas, I think I have a plan. Why not just take the kid outside of the city? Maybe I can heal her with an old magic, an old spell.
You have a spell that cures disease.
It's more of a spell that can heal wounds. Maybe it can work.
I don't think so, my dear.
As a ranger, you know that your spell has never cured something of that magnitude before. You never know.
Try, goddammit.
You've never encountered this kind of disease before, so you're not sure what it could or could not do. But you do know that your spell has never healed something of that magnitude before. In the past, you've seen other rangers and yourself heal wounds like arrow wounds or broken bones or different open wounds like that. But something of the magnitude of some kind of terminal illness, you've never used it before.
I haven't used it before, but maybe we can try. It could be different. We can save them.
So you don't know if it'll actually work?
I mean, don't we all?
We don't know the source of this disease. We don't know the cause of it. We don't know the mechanism of it. But that child and countless others are suffering.
Then we owe it to them to try.
Oh, it might be worth our while to figure it out, but we're going to need to think bigger. That child has weeks, but that's weeks that maybe we can use to find something more effective. And besides, I believe that would put us in the good graces of this town.
Maybe if we head to the cathedral, we can find out more information on this said plague.
It's not a bad place to start. I do need to get to the legal offices to start the process of settling my cousin's affairs as well.
I'm going to stay here for reasons.
Alright. You know, you can always offer, but please don't make promises that'll just demoralize them more. Maybe it would ease the child's suffering a little bit, but we really don't know. In fact, this plague could even be a curse. Casting magic without knowing what it's going to do to this plague or curse or whatever it may be, it could do horrifying things.
Indeed.
You see the man, or should I say the dwarven man, step out of the private room that was adjacent to your table. You notice that the sound of your voice carried through the wall very easily. There's crevices between the wooden boards. He is, let me send you the image. Let's see, where is my image? Here we go.
Fellas, blink twice. We'll kill him. That was a joke.
He approaches you and speaks in a gruff voice. You speak of the rot.
We do.
No simple magic can cure the rot. It is a terminal illness. I know this, and it does come from outside the city walls. It came from some of those ships, some of the rats. Don't waste your time trying to heal it. Either 2,000 gold, or whoever has it will die.
I found it curious that the priests know exactly how to cure it.
It's no surprise. They are priests of Lathander. They have the magic, but it exhausts them every time they cast it. They need to repair that cathedral, and they're going to do it at a cost. There's no reasoning with them.
Why would a billing be more important than lives?
Say, Falmanar, or whatever your name was. You know how to punch things, right? You know, make people really get hurt.
Yes. What do
Say,
you have
why
in
don't we
mind?
pay this cathedral a visit?
I don't think beating up the priests, who are the only ones that can heal people, is going to accomplish anything good.
They're priests. They're failing to do their duty as priests. They need to heal the people, else
You
they
see
will just lose followers.
You see the dwarf give the ranger a quizzical look. He's a bit cautious after he hears those words.
I may be one of larger stature, but I believe that words are the best choice before I resort to fighting.
What sort of fucking fighter are you?
I place my face in my hands and sigh deeply.
One that uses the logic.
So, scholar.
I turn to the dwarf and say, "So, you've personal experience in this then? Did you lose someone?"
May I have a seat at your table?
Certainly,
Sure, for 5
certainly.
gold.
'Nim,
5 gold.
Nim, zip it.
Shut up.
Please have a seat.
5 gold to have
Don't
a
mind
seat
her.
in this tavern that I sit at every time I make my way from the mountains. It's a lot of money for a seat.
I
He
groan.
he raises an eyebrow and smirks at the proposition and has a seat anyway. You are not mountain folk. I presume you came in on horseback or ship.
Ship.
Oh no, I flew here, mate.
Another raised eyebrow and another smirk. He takes out his pipe at that and lights it up, having a long whiff of it. He sets his tankard on the table, and you notice that he's nursing the drink, not drinking it heavily, but sipping it nice and easy, enjoying it. You notice that he has pitons hanging from his belt. Pitons are used for climbing rocks. You see that he has a bag that is somewhat stained and weathered, filled with things like rope and rations. You can tell that he's a mountaineer. You also see snowshoes dangling from the side of his sack, and a few other things that pertain to the wilderness, trapping, and climbing.
So, mountain folk, I would guess that would be you then.
Aye, that is correct.
My name is Lorien. What's yours, my duck?
The name is Kurdu Steelback. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm a porter and mountaineer and trapper here at Port Firth.
And such a pleasure to meet a dwarf with such a luxurious beard.
He strokes the beard as he has a puff of his pipe.
I smile. So, do you know anything about those cultists that destroyed the temple in town?
Nim would whisper in Lorian's ear, "Are you really hitting on him?"
I shrug.
Another raised
I'm
eyebrow
sorry,
from the
love. Did you
dwarf.
want to go?
I've only heard stories of the cultists. Apparently they came into the city. They threw torches and flaming arrows at the cathedral. They did some damage, but they scurried off as soon as the guards came into town and cleared them out like roaches.
Surely, what if we could find people who could help the cathedral?
You're gonna need money, mate. 2,000 gold.
We could rob a bank, if there is a bank. Don't know.
Aye, there's a bank and illegal offices. They're one and the same. Most of the bank doesn't use actual gold currency. Lots of paperwork and parchments, lots of seals, and there's forgers on staff to check for those sort of things. They check the signatures. They check...
But what about guards?
Guards? What about guards?
Are there guards guarding the place?
I mean, look, what he's telling you is stealing a bunch of pieces of paper isn't going to help because they're writs with the person's identification on it. They can tell if it's forged. They can tell if it's false. It's not going to do you any good. It's not like you're going to walk in there.
You can sell the
It's a bunch
identification, though.
Bar.
Identity theft. It could be something big.
You notice the dwarf looking up and down as if he hasn't seen a drow in a very long time. But he doesn't do so in an offensive way. He does it sort of subtly.
She would unmask and reveal that she is a drow.
The dwarf says, "If it's treasure you're looking for, there's much to be had out of the walls of the city. More than there are in this city. Comes at a price. It's dangerous."
Well, I say we gather up with people and head out, see what we can find.
Aye. The only way to find this gold is to adventure and explore. You never know what you come across. I've come across much treasure myself out in the wilderness.
Fascinating.
Well, that's certainly one avenue of approach. Probably we'd live a lot longer than trying to rob the fucking bank.
Piss off, you posh prick.
The guards
that was
here,
a lot of P words.
the guards here are quite fair, and the captain of the guard, Roger, is also quite fair too. They are good people. Sometimes a bit heavy-handed, but they are fair, just like the Lord Percival.
How much is Lord Percival worth?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't get myself wrapped up in politics. Most of the year I'm up in the mountains. However, if you do need a mountaineer, you can hire me to escort you through the mountains. I guarantee you, if you hire a lesser dwarf or man, you may end up dead. I know these mountains, the Dwaland range, better than the back of my own hands.
What's your price?
10 gold a day. That's including rations. That's a fair price. The Dwaland mountains are not safe. They are dangerous, and if you go there without someone who's familiar with the range, you will die.
Well,
10 gold a day.
Well, I have
It's
some
worth
fares to see too. How often are you here in this tavern, Sir Dwarf?
Whenever I'm in town, I spend most of my time here. When I'm not in the tavern, I'm usually up in the mountains or the wilderness, tending to my traps.
And how much longer will you be here?
I'll be here into the night, and then I'll sleep up in one of the rooms. Quinn, the barkeep, knows me well. Are you coming for the festival? It's going to be live music.
Oh, I can't resist a good show. I'll certainly be there, but I really ought to get going for now.
Very well.
Perhaps we'll retain your services. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It's been a
Certainly
pleasure
count
to
on-
meet you.
And you, my dear, and you. Now you stay sexy out there, Mr. Rugged Trapper. And I stand up.
You see a surprised look on his face, and he almost chokes on his pipe.
Nim, Nim would respond, "Don't worry, he always does that."
The dwarf gives you a brief nod and seems to be very relaxed in his chair, and he continues to slowly
She-
sip at his tankard.
She walks over to the bar and orders him another drink.
Um, so the
order-
bartender Quinn, as you know him to be, says, "What drink are you ordering?"
Same as my last one, but for the dwarf.
Very well, it's 1 gold.
She hands over the gold, and
Very good. All right, he serves you the drink very quickly. It's cold in your hands, and make sure to erase 1 gold from your inventory, please.
yes, sir. She walks over and puts the drink in front of the dwarf.
The dwarf gives you a grateful nod. He stands up and says, "Cheers." But I don't think you have a drink, do you?
I do not. She just nods and says, "Cheers."
Very good. He sits back down and tends back to his pipe again. He seems to be very calm and relaxed where he is.
So,
So
I
what
decide-
do you all do now?
I call Fall to me. Fall, come along.
Mm.
And walk out the tavern door and head towards the law office / bank.
Nim would stay and walk around, would walk up to the bartender, sorry, and see what services he provides.
Well, the bartender tells you that there are rooms for 3 silver a night, and the rooms are available for inspection. Should you choose to go up and inspect them, they're all very neat, they're tidy, they're simple. There's a window that looks toward the sea. There's a very small cot in each, small bed, and a small private chest for you to put your things in, and a very simple lock on the doors.
Nim would pull out her last two gems. Do you know where I can sell these?
The local shopkeep would probably give you some gold for those, he says.
She would head out of the bar, saying thank you to the bartender, and look, and we'll try and head to the shop.
Yes, let me take a look at the map here.
I'll do a perception check if you need me to.
He says that the one of the only shops that are still open at this hour are down the street to the left out the door.
Okay, do I need to do a perception check?
Let me see here.
don't
No,
mind.
you can. He kind of shows you a rough drawing that he scribbles out on like a parchment, and he hands it to you. And it kind of shows you a very rudimentary layout of the city and kind of the direction you need to head. But it's so rudimentary that it's more useful as you're moving, as opposed to just sitting there and looking at it.
Aye, okay.
It happens to be in the same direction that the other two are walking. You do see them down the street.
You cut out.
You see that they are ahead of you down the street, walking in the same direction. The other 2 party members.
She would catch up to them, pat them both on the back, and say, "Let's go."
Oh, I had no idea you like going to the law office that much.
I'm not going to the law office. I'm going to the local shop. Yes.
What's the name again? Nim, I'd like you to make a perception roll as you walk down the alleyways.
Yep. Okay.
Actually,
Oh, well.
all of you, please, perception.
Luckily, perception is in one of my proficiencies. All right, perception. Was that good?
Let's see, we have a 16, a 12, and a 17. Okay. Falminar, you noticed that the alleyway you're walking down, according to the descriptions that you've gotten from other townsfolk and the bartender and the dwarf and whoever else you asked about you overheard Lorien talking with the customs guy earlier. This appears to fit the description of the direction you need to walk in, and you think that at the end of this alleyway, all the way at the end of the street, if you make a right, you will come to the law offices. Lorien, you notice that it's not sundown yet, but the sun is lower in the sky at this point, and you are heading in what you believe to be the right direction. You do notice that Nim is sort of being an individual, kind of lagging behind you all, and the streets are fairly clear in this part of town. It's not as busy as the other part of town that you were in. Nim, you notice that as you walk down the street. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, just having to deal with an errand.
Right, no problem. You notice that as you walk down the street, you see lots of houses and businesses. Most of the businesses are closed. And you notice the shop that was described to you, that it is indeed closed. You don't see any lights on or anybody inside. You notice on your left you see some run-down houses with some kind of cracked and dirty, cloudy windows that haven't been upkept in a while. You notice that their roof is also really poorly upkept, and the roof and the front door are very wood stained, the wood and the ceramic roof tiling's cracked, and the doors are kind of dingy.
Nim would just shrug, turn back, and wait outside the tavern.
Alright, so he goes back toward the tavern. Now up to Falminar's turn. I'm sorry.
She?
Yep.
Did you just assume her gender?
No, I'm just getting mixed up with IRL. So it's Falminar's move. What are you up to? Just heading in that direction, or?
I'm just gonna head in the direction. This happens to be the same way that I believe the man from earlier was talking to you about on.
Very well, very good. You've been doing a great job so far, by the way, Fal. I appreciate it.
Just doing my job.
As you round the corner, you see a sign that says Port Firth Legal Offices, and you do see a gentle light coming from the windows and curtains shrouding the interior.
I try to walk inside.
There is a door. You may knock on it.
Oh, okay. I knock on the door.
Open this up a bit. You hear a voice from inside. And you hear some rustling of feet and shifting of chairs and papers being piled. I'll be right there. Just one moment now. The door opens a moment later after a few more chairs are shuffled around, and you see this gentleman.